Hey everyone, it's another quick book review, and I am relieved, so relieved after the last couple of things I've read to have reread this little book. It's about 150 pages, fairly small writing in this version, but I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, and it's great, it's fantastic. I cannot really lavish enough praise on this book right now. I think the writing in it is superb. It's a vampire novel, but it's a vampire novel written by a guy who was born in 1926, as the page at the end of the book tells me. And it's you kind of have to go into it thinking what you know about vampires, all the things you've learnt from Buffy and Twilight and whatever else you've seen, just blank it all out. And it's kind of set in a world, I think it's 1976 America, which I don't know much about, but it's just so good. The writing style, it's very much a stream of consciousness for the vast majority, and it's philosophical without being too direct. It makes you think. After you've read a chapter or two, I would personally advise to put it down and just spend some time thinking, because there's so much in there, and it's one of the most brutal and guttural and primal things I've ever read. It is absolutely fascinating. It is a look into the depths of what a human is capable of. It's about survivor's guilt. It's about surviving. It's about the hopelessness of surviving. And I really don't want to spoil it, but there's so much good stuff in here. And when I first read it years and years ago, I think a lot of it probably went over my head. But it's so well balanced, and there's a character in here called Ben Cortman, and I remember him so well, and as I recall, he didn't even make it into the film, or at least he didn't have the same impact in the film if he's in it at all. And I'm thinking of the Will Smith film, which was a little bit tragic and very Hollywood. But yeah, I really think this should be read by anyone watching this. If you haven't read it, it's just so good. It's so horrifically brutal. A look at mankind, specifically the man in this, who is Robert Neville, and it's so sparse and it's so bare, and yet the writing style, the actual words and the way it's put forward, they have a certain kind of beauty and relaxed feel to them, or at least when he's relaxed. And this primal being, this animal that Robert Neville is kind of juxtaposed by the fact that even though he doesn't talk much about it, at some point or at 2 points, he paints murals, these like wonderful natural landscapes on his walls, so he can kind of look at something, and it doesn't tell you that he's a great painter. It doesn't tell you about how he came to put the paintings there or what made him put the paintings there, but you have to think for yourself. You have to infer that in the boredom and in the complete solace of this character. He was it solace? I think it was solitude is what I meant to say, I think. But like against the brutal animal nature that's displayed in this book, and it really is a look into what a human is capable of. There is also the fact that he's this painter, and I imagine in my mind a very good one, and he spends all his time listening to his classical music records and kind of evaluating a bit of classical music. So I mean, that's as juxtaposed as it gets for me. Classical music, or I suppose any music creation that you sit and listen to, and then during the day when you're not listening to classical music, you're forging weapons or killing or doing other horrendous things. But yeah, I really don't want to spoil it. It's just so good. I mean, you see blurbs on the back from Dean Koontz. I don't know who would want a Dean Koontz reference. There's an opening to this book by I forgot his name. What's his name? The horror guy, Stephen Sutton. Where are we? I'm thinking of Stephen Hawking. I know it's not Stephen Hawking. I know he's a scientist. There you go, Stephen King. Stephen King introduces this. I don't know anything about Richard Matheson. I don't know much about 1970s America. But this book, as short as it is, and in this time that I've picked it up, I think it's exceptional. Parallels run rampant to the spread of the vampire disease and how it's handled and what it looks like, and our current times. I don't think that can be avoided. But as far as rereads go, this is my first reread of this in over a decade, I think. It could be longer. And I thought it was exceptional. I'm so happy that I read it. I'm so happy that I've read something good, something that I liked. And I've only got 2 more books on my TBR that I haven't read, and I think I'm going to be bouncing around in rereads for a while, so fingers crossed they're all as good as I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. That's all I got, folks. Thanks for watching. See you around.